You're watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin, and I am so excited for this segment. And I had to bring Mike Costa in, our buddy, our sports analyst, Mike Costa.
How are you?
For joining me for this. Usually you're not here on these days.
No, I'm not.
You weren't scheduled for this day.
Right.
But I had to call you in from Studio A to Studio B, coached you over from Big Biz Show, because of our next guest.
Yes.
Who you and I both knew about 30 plus years ago.
It's been a cup of coffee
really
or so.
small world that we both know him.
Big time.
But I'll tell you, I'm just going to get a little backstory before we introduce him. So if you're lucky in this world, you had somebody in your childhood who was a mentor to you. I had one of these people who taught me about endurance and tenacity and grit and positive attitude and all the things of what it is to dream and be a leader. And it was my high school volleyball coach, who I get to say I'm a state champion because of this man. And he is now our guest because he is a coach, head volleyball coach of the women's volleyball team at University of Nebraska, a four-time national championship coach, two-time winner of the AVCA Coach of the Year. He was assistant coach at the Women's Olympic when they won the bronze in 1992, I think. This man is just one of my favorite humans, and I haven't seen him in, 30 plus years. So welcome to America Trends, Coach John Cook. Hey, everyone's clapping for you over here.
Hey guys, how we doing? Mary, I love your wearing red.
I wore it just for you.
Will love it.
I wore it just for you. That's so great. Well, I am so excited. You know, when I first started the show a year ago, you were at the top of my list of people I wanted to call on the show because you are the epitome of success and the way you bring leadership to a team and how you can lead a team and your history of success. I know that the people who watch the show can gain a lot from you and your tips. You're a speaker, you're an author, you talk about all this stuff. So I'm excited to have you. And do you remember Mike Costa? Because you coached him too, I think, in the 80s.
My junior year, Coach, and it's great to reconnect with you. It was my junior year at uni, and you came over there with Coach Bud Mayfield. And I was telling Mary before the segment started, we were doing blocks one day, a linebacker drill, and you finally just yelled at me and said, "Mike, get your arms away from your body." And as soon as the light bulb went on, and I was like, wow, this position is so much easier. So you did have an impact on the way I played linebacker. It's good to reconnect with you.
Yeah, thanks. Those are some great days coaching football. That's all I ever want to do is teach middle school geography and coach football. I was perfectly happy. And here I am 30 years later coaching volleyball in Nebraska.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I forgot to mention, you were actually my geography teacher. That's where I first met you in 7th grade. And then you saw me and you're like, you're tall, get your butt to my volleyball camp and be my center blocker. And I was, and we won state champs. And, I was just reading, going back to the time and reading about you, that you had a 90 match winning streak in the 80s, and I think I was a part of that. I think that's when we won state champs. Do you remember those days?
Oh yeah, we were. You remember who knocked us off?
Well, no, because I wasn't on the team when we got knocked off. I think by the time you left, I was still on the streak because I won a third year after you left. No, but was it Brentwood?
No, it was a team in San Diego. The school's not there anymore, and they knocked us off, and it was a league match. And that school's not there anymore. It was a private school, and they knocked us off.
Oh, God, we forget about them. I think I have I dug up some old photos of me in a CAF game with Heidi and a bunch of those gals. Anyway, there's Amy and Amy Meyer. Do you remember her?
Yes, I do. And is that Amy Meyer? Okay.
Yeah, that was Amy and me. And then I don't even remember where I am in these, but this was a CIF game. There's Gina. I don't know. These are old school photos days. I told the guys in our crew, or Bianca, our producer, I said, this is what photos used to look like. But anyway, I want to talk to you about, Coach, you have such a history of success with leadership, and you have taught me about what it means to really dream big. In fact, you have a book. I don't know where I'll have to get it during the break, but Dream Like a Winner, or what is it? Dream Like a Champion.
Dream Like a Champion, yep.
So is that what you bring? Like, what is your secret sauce? I'm sure you can't sum it up in 8 minutes, but what do you bring and how do you inspire your players to play together and really kind of go big for the championship every year?
Yeah, so Mary, that's a really good question. And, when I was coaching your generation, I pushed you guys really hard, and probably a lot of girls weren't ready for that in the 80s. But my whole, thought process was, I got to push these guys to be the best they can be. And so over the years, that's evolved into, okay, now we dream big. And I have several stories that I tell of players who set goals, they went for it. And then we've adopted that dream big, dream like a champion. And, our most recent player, Jordan Larson, who's from a small town in Nebraska, who just, she told me in 8th grade she was going to come here, win a national championship, and be an Olympian. This is an 8th grader from a one stoplight town. And now, not only has she done that, she's gone on and won 3 Olympic medals, the last one being a gold medal. It's one of the highest paid players in the world, plays all over the world in different countries. And so anyway, I have a lot of great examples that I've talked about. And your high school team, if you remember at Parker, we just started girls sports when you started, and there was no expectations, no goal setting, nothing. Nobody in San Diego had ever done anything in the state of California, and we went on and won the state championship. So that was historic for a San Diego high school team to win the state of California.
Because we were a small school too. We were 1A and we were a little school. Nobody thought we were going to do anything, and we did. We beat them. But I want to talk about it. One of the techniques that I bring now to my own kids, I do it with my kids. They're competitive dancers, still very athletic, and have very big dreams. And we do the technique that you taught us, which was visualization. So we'd work really hard doing drills, do 2-a-days, be in the gym working out, but then you'd have us sit down and lay down with the ball, volleyball, and hold it, and you'd kind of talk us through visualizing walking into the gym and winning. And I'm wondering if you still do that with your players now, and how people, even adults that are in the business world, how we can bring that into our personal lives and into our work lives.
Yeah, that's also a great question. I'm amazed that you remember that. And by the way, I get letters all the time, or emails or texts from teammates of yours at Parker when something happens in their life that they remember what happened at Francis Parker Volleyball. And whether that's with their kids, raising their kids, their job, it's been pretty cool. And here you are remembering visualization. And that's something that we actually have a sports psychologist now that teaches them how to visualize, and and they have all these apps that help you, and how to calm your mind down, and how to breathe. So we've taken it from what was a very coach, here's how we're doing it version back when you played, to now it's much more scientific, and we got a professional that helps them really how to dial it in and do the visualization part.
Coach, how tough is it to pivot from where you were with us as teenagers? Our faces weren't in cell phones. They were in school books, and then they were eyes on you as you were coaching, to this generation of kids who you're recruiting and you're bringing onto the campus there in Lincoln, who are of that generation of instant gratification.
So I have a saying that I tell myself every day: the longer I coach, the less I know. And the reason is because it's changing so fast all the time. So what I've had to learn, and I've watched other coaches that have not adapted and adjusted. If you're not adapting and adjusting, you're never going to make it, and you're going to get run out, or the kids are going to stop playing hard for you, or it's going to hurt your recruiting. So I've constantly been adapting, and that's my theme: is the longer I coach, the less I know. So I approach each year as, not that we're rebuilding Nebraska volleyball, we're going to reinvent it. And it starts with me. I'm going to reinvent myself. What am I going to do different this year? How am I going to be better? What does my team need and our program need from me? And I start every year that way. And it's allowed me, and I've made a lot of adjustments, believe me. I mean, I wrote a book about it. There's so many things that I've had to adjust over the last 20 years here coaching at Nebraska.
Is this so I have this one, Dream Like a Champion, that I read.
Yes.
And then, so people can get this on Amazon or wherever
Yep.
people get books. Oh, here's the pictures too. And also, I wanted you to stick around because I have more questions. We got to take a little break, but can you stick around for one more segment?
I'm with you all day, Mary.
I love it. I wish you could. I honestly don't know if I've seen you. I feel like maybe you were inducted into our high school Hall of Fame, were you not?
Yes.
A few years ago?
Yes.
So I think maybe you were there and I saw you there.
Maybe, yeah. That was a whirlwind moment for me. There was a lot of people there that day. But
I also remember that you have a daughter, Lauren, and the reason why I
Yes.
know her name is because my best friend was Lauren, and you said when you have a daughter, you're going to name her Lauren, and I've always remembered that. But she was a volleyball player too.
yeah, Lauren Young is who you're talking about, right? Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, Lauren
So
Kaiser was the one that was my friend. But then, yeah.
Lauren Kaiser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's also another Lauren Young who actually her daughter I was recruiting, and she shows up with her daughter. They're playing in the gym that I was recruiting at. So it's a very small world and how it circles around. But yeah, her name is Lauren. She played for me at Nebraska.
Awesome.
And she just had her first baby, so I'm now a grandfather, and
gosh.
that's awesome.
So we have grandfather John Cook here from University of Nebraska, Cornhuskers, women's volleyball. We'll be right back with more America Trends and John Cook right after this. Coach Cook, I gotta call him. And you know him as Coach Cook too.
Oh, yeah.
You're watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin. I'm joined here with my sports analyst, co-anchor, Mike Costa.
Just to anchor.
And we are interviewing via Zoom from Nebraska, Coach John Cook, the head coach of the women's volleyball team at University of Nebraska. Go Huskers. And, you know, Coach, I wanted to talk to you about the fact that you have such a winning record, and volleyball is huge in Nebraska, sports is huge, and there is got to be a large amount of pressure on you and the girls, to the women, the young women, to perform every year and be in the Final Four every year. And what is that like for you as a coach? And then also how you kind of help the young women through those nerves and that pressure?
Yeah, so my first year in 2000, we won the national championship. So that set the bar really high. We started selling it. We sold out every match since 2001.
And how many people is that approximately selling out?
Yeah, we play in an 8,000 seat arena.
Wow.
So we're a revenue producing sport. We make money for the university. So there is a lot of pressure. And what I found is over the last few years, players today, young women today, they're really not prepared on how to handle that pressure. So we've had to work really hard on dialing it down, making sure it's fun, making sure they love being a part of this, and embracing all the things that come with all the attention. And like I've always said, I'd rather be somewhere where it's really important and people care than coaching somewhere where nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a big deal. So our players now are able to use it. They have a great platform which they can make a difference in kids' lives. They can be role models. They can be an inspiration for people. We have TV, radio all the time. We have reporters that follow us and are here every day. So there is a lot of tension. There's a lot of pressure, and I see it sometimes, especially when they're young. They struggle with that. But what happens is once they get through this program, if they're going to go to vet school, med school, they're going to go be professional, they get hired or accepted into those schools, or law school, for example, because they know how to deal with the expectations of work ethic and the pressure. And so it's a great training ground for them, but there's sometimes they really struggle with it, and we have ways that we help them with that. And again, I've got a performance team that really, really does a great job.
Well, I know you certainly stressed work ethic. That was something I took away from you as a coach in my life, and impart that to my kids. And, you know, I know that the stress can become a lot, and we're seeing in the news right now, we've talked a few times about some young athletes have recently committed suicide. I think a gal at Stanford, and I read another one last night, that women have taken their own lives. They've been athletes, and the pressure, I don't know if it's because of the pressure, but it certainly is a big concern, it seems to be these days.
Yes, it is. It's something we're trying to be really dialed in with and educate. And we have some players that are leading the charge of that. They're actually publicly out talking about it. And so that's the first thing. You start talking about it, then people are like, okay, so this is something that's out here. And, you know, I may not be the only one that feels this way. And so that's one thing we've tried to do. Like I said, kids today have a hard time handling pressure and expectation, but also I'm going to throw in, I think one of the reasons we're seeing maybe it's magnified right now is because of the COVID year. And
yeah.
I've been coaching a long time. I saw some of the craziest things happening with COVID, and it was the lack of not being together, not being a part of a team, not being around their teammates, you know, basically going to school on a computer. So it was that human connection, that human relationship was really missing. And then also the physical inactivity caused a lot of injury issues. So it's been a rough couple years on kids. And like I said, we're trying to be really proactive on attacking this instead of hiding behind it or waiting for something to happen. And so I don't know how else to deal with it, but that's the approach we've decided to use.
Yeah.
Coach, athletics at your level is a very how much have you done for me tomorrow kind of business, and the success is fleeting because you're always thinking ahead, always thinking 2 steps ahead. How have you personally had to change the way you are as a person, a father, a coach, a husband, a grandfather, from where you are now to where you were when you started?
Well, Mary asked me about the expectations. So like I said, 2000 we won, 2006 we won the national championship, 2008 we didn't win it, but we had one of the most unbelievable coaching years of my life. It was incredible team, and again, the background and the history of what went on with that team and how they performed and all the sub stories that were happening off the court. It was just an incredible year. In 2009, I hit the wall. And I just woke up one day and I'm like, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore. How's it going to ever get any better than what we just went through? How am I going to have a better run? How can we keep this going? And it just overwhelmed me, and I hit the wall, and I was burned out. And so I wasn't feeling good. I went to a bunch of doctors and I asked them the same thing. How do you guys handle the stress? How are you doing this? And I asked our athletic director, you know, how do you handle it? Every one of them said, I don't know how to handle it. So I got really proactive. We actually, a year later, we put on a one-day clinic for men on how to handle stress expectations as high performers and high achievers. And through that, I brought in world-class people into Nebraska and learned from them on, okay, nutrition is really important. Your sleep's really important. You've got to learn how to meditate, calm things down. You have to have hobbies. So I had no hobbies. So I went out and got some hobbies.
You got a
horse.
horse.
I learned to play guitar.
Is that when the horse came in? Is that when the horse came into the picture? I know you got a horse.
This is back in 2010. I started with guitar, and then I got my pilot's license. Wow. And then the horse thing has come in recently here as a new hobby. And that's a whole nother episode how we got there. But I'll tell you what, Mary, here's the deal. When I'm riding that horse, I don't think about Nebraska volleyball. I think about nature. I'm working with this animal, trying to develop this partnership, and it's just really cool. You're getting dirty, you're outside, and it's just so different than being in an office. You know, and the Japanese have a thing they call a forest bathing. They live in these big cities and they got these parks with forests that they go out and walk in the forest because your body needs that. Your body needs light and it needs nature. And combine all those things, and I stopped drinking coffee cold turkey because I was depending on the caffeine rush.
That's going to have to be me next, I have a feeling, but that's not me yet.
You're just a few years behind
me.
Right. But I had my point is I drink a lot of green tea now, which is great, but the point is I had to make changes if I wanted to survive, and it made me a better coach, and I handle everything better. I handle the ups and downs better. I'm more patient. And if you ask my older players and probably you guys, they'll say I've really mellowed. But
yeah, mellow
it's just
was not a word I would have used to describe you, Coach, back in the day. But so we're running out of time. But I got to tell you one last thing that I remember so well is the night before any big match, we would go to my mom's house and watch the Hoosiers. We'd go to Soup Plantation and eat carb load up, and then we'd watch the Hoosiers because it was such a team bonding and like pump you up show, and I still carry that with me to this day. So I have to go have my kids watch that movie. And I just want to thank you for all you've done for me personally and so many generations of people. It's really amazing, and I'm so happy you came on and spent some time with us today.
Well, thank you. It's an honor. It's great to see you guys. And I remember those dinners at your mom's and the Soup Plantation. I wish we had one here in Lincoln.
They're all gone, I think.
I know.
They're all gone.
Travesty.
Everyone at home, thank you so much for tuning in. We've got more America Trends right after this quick break.